Let's go to Samantha out in Philadelphia. Samantha, what are you doing?
I'm just waiting to talk to you, John.
Awesome. So, being a caller, is it weird
Mhm.
listening to all the shenanigans behind the scenes, or is it just exactly what you thought it was going to be?
It's what I thought it was going to be, but it's still a little weird.
Very cool. Okay, so what's up? What's going on?
So I'll go straight to my question. My question is, how do I support a friend who cheated on her husband without enabling her decision?
Tell me more.
Okay, so it's a really close friend. Like, we grew up together, super close, and she cheated on her husband. And I guess a little more that I found out since I put the call question in is that she hasn't told the husband the extent to her cheating.
Whoa.
So there's that. I know you always say secrets destroy things, but it's not my secret to tell. So I'm struggling with A, how to support her, and B, like, we hang out with them all the time. So it's weird.
Yes, secrets destroy, and so does sleeping with your husband's friend, right? So
Yes.
both of those things hurt marriage. Oh
Yes.
man. Okay, so how did she tell you? How did this come to you?
So she made like a cryptic Facebook post a little while back in December at the end of the year, and I like touched base with her to see like how things were going. It kind of just like came out as word vomit. And so it was like this hour-long phone call. And then after we get through it all, like, her husband found the text messages, thought it was just emotional. And then as we're ending the phone call, she goes, "Oh, I actually slept with him too." And I was like, "Oh." So it was just like, I didn't know what to say.
So what has happened since then? How did you find out that she hasn't told her husband yet?
Yeah. So she, at the end of that phone call, when she told me, she basically said, like, "I haven't told him. I don't think I'm going to, unless it like comes up in marriage counseling," which he doesn't want to go to. He's just kind of rug sweeping the situation, like, wants to move past it. So it's like obviously never going to come up if he never goes to therapy and she never says anything.
Mm. So when you say enabling, what do you mean by that?
So I want to support her. Obviously, like, she's my best friend, but also like that she says these like weird things to kind of justify her cheating. And obviously, I'm a big time listener, so like no one else makes you make the choices you decide. Like, you decide that, and I don't know how to like get that through her head that no matter what her husband did to her, like, it's not his fault.
So I've had moments in my life when I have close friends and they do something. They violate my trust in a way that makes me wonder, if you can do that in this situation, what would you do with my trust? What would you do with our relationship? And the moment, and this is just me, the moment I go there, often there's a turning point in that relationship from that point forward. It's different now. And just personally speaking, I think I've told this on the show before, and if I have, I guess it's worth repeating. One time I was sitting down with a group of guys, and I had moved to a new city, and my wife was finishing up her dissertation research, so she was going to move 6 months later, and so we were just going to hang out on the weekends. It was about 3 hours away from each other. So after about 2 months, I was hanging out with this group of guys, and they had been really kind and welcomed me in, and several of them I'm still super close to this day. And we were all making jokes and just being stupid guys sitting around a table. And they said, "Hey, do you need anything?" And I was like, "Well, man, I'm super lonely. If anyone knows of any girlfriends here in this new city." Totally kidding. And one guy, his name's Kevin, one of my closest friends, said, "Hey, you don't know us that well. And so just so we're super clear, if you ever cheat on your wife, you better hope to God she finds you before we do." And it was a very like, this is who we are and this is how we're going to roll. Now, I know some of the people in that group they've walked through infidelity with each other. They've walked through all kind of crazy stuff together. The difference is, and again, everyone's got their own opinions on this. This is just me. I have worked in student conduct long enough. I've sat with people who have done stupid things and had bad moments and had bad weekends. I've had bad months, right? Where they just did things that were so out of character. And so I often tell people, I don't think character is the initial incident. I think
Mhm.
character is who you are after you do something
Yeah.
destructive, right? And so she's she hooks up with somebody. Okay, that happens in my world with
Mhm.
dealing with people who are married. That happens. It happens. It happens. You're getting to see in real time who she is on the back end of doing something that could potentially be devastating to somebody that she says she loves. And
Yeah.
that is, I'm going to lie, I'm going to hide it, I'm going to bury it, and I'm going to hand it to my friend to carry and drag her through all of this.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying? And so for
Yeah.
me, the enabling is not about the marriage thing. You can no more do anything about that unless you just felt so compelled. I've got a few friends that their wives are basically equally as close, and
Mhm.
I would say, hey, we're going to have this conversation, and I'll do it with you, but I'm not holding the secret for you. But that's just very,
Mhm.
very few. The rest of them, man. I mean, that's. But I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm going to opt out of
Yeah.
this relationship, right? Not because you did a thing one time, not because you did a thing over a period of a few months or whatever. It's because you showed your true colors, your true character on the back end of this mistake, and you've continued to blame other people. You've continued to pass the buck. You've continued to lie about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that hits hard, but it's true.
And so, you've heard me say this: it's not by your hand, but in your lap. You had a
Mhm.
really close friend who did a thing, and then it's dragged you along through the deception and the dishonesty. And if
Mhm.
I'm you, I'm not going along on that ride.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be as easy as I'm just not going to return your texts anymore or calls anymore, or it can be as direct and honest as taking her to coffee and saying, "Hey, I can't be a part of this because I feel like I'm getting dragged through it because I know something." When we sit down as as a couple, we're all sitting down. I know something he doesn't know, and I can't be a part
Mhm.
of that. I can't. And
Yeah.
she's going to call you every name in the book and blah, blah, blah. That's cool. But as far as I'm concerned, she didn't get a vote anymore.
Yeah. No, that's kind of how I've been feeling. Like, I think about it, and my husband and I talk about it, and we're just like, it's just awkward. Like, we just
Oh
hang out
yeah,
with them, and it's just awkward.
it's super awkward.
Yeah.
For real, it's awkward. So,
Mhm.
what is that? You know her, and you know how she
Mhm.
would hear things. Um, there's people in my life who I love that we've been places, and I'd say, "Hey, give me your keys. I'm driving home." And
Mhm.
I know I'm gonna have to go ask this guy for his keys, and it's gonna be a fight. No, bro, I'm
Mhm.
fine. He's not driving. You're not driving home. And then there's others that are more than happy to hand the keys over. How's this conversation going to go?
It'll be a fight.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think though she needs to hear it because everyone else is just kind of like either A doesn't know the full information, so they're like he's being irrational about everything, like her husband, or like B like just coddling her and just being like it's okay, get through it. So I don't think anyone has really like had the. I don't want to say courage because I don't think it's a courageous thing. It's just like been truthful and straightforward with her.
Mm. I think the
Yeah.
truth and straightforwardness has to be about you, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes you throwing grenades at somebody. And I'm not participating in that very often. Occasionally, I'll say, "Hey, you've heard the show enough." Like occasionally, if you go
Yeah.
back and listen to it carefully, it's rare that I say, "This is a terrible person."
Yeah.
Usually,
No, I'm an
it's
OG listener, so
okay. So
I've never really heard you say that.
it's rare that I find that like you're an awful human and you don't deserve to be around. Usually it's people have, because of particular pathways, they've ended up in a place that nobody wants to be in and they don't know how to get out. And
Mhm.
that happens. Um this one's a mess. I
Yeah.
just I would sit down and say, I can't participate in this anymore. This makes it about you. I'm uncomfortable sitting down at a table with your husband and you and acting like everything's normal because it's not. Everything's in
Mhm.
ashes and y'all are just playing. And so I don't want to participate in this and not make it about you cheated and you're this and you're a liar. I wouldn't go that
Yeah.
route. Make it about you and then walk away,
Yeah. Short, sweet, and to the point.
which is so hard. I know. I know that's so
Yeah.
hard. Ugh.
But it's not, and honestly, knowing her personality, that's the best way forward in
Right.
all aspects,
Right.
however it turns out.
One of my core beliefs is, or core actions, I guess, is I only speak to be heard. I don't speak to just so I can have said something. Right. I get a lot of
Mhm.
heat on the internets for not responding to every thing that goes on in the world. And if things are super volatile and political and nonsensical, I'm not going to be heard. People just want to find out
Yeah.
what team I'm on. And so for this, I'm going to speak in a way that can be heard. And that is, I'm choosing not to be around you right now. And I think it's also fair to say, I love you and I will walk through hell with you if you're willing to walk through hell. But if you're just going to try to avoid the whole thing, I'm not taking that route with you.
I really like that.
Is that cool?
I really appreciate that.
Sorry that happened to you, man. That's such a bummer, man. We want our friends, especially our ride or dies, to have our same values and not do stupid things. And when they do stupid things, to come to us and say, hey, walk with me through the reconciliation through this stupid thing, or walk with me through the next chapter and phase of my life. And I've got close friends that I love, and I'll say, what you're doing is really stupid. You can come stay at my house, and your wife can come stay at my house, or your ex can come stay at my house. You're welcome here. But I'm telling you, I think what you're doing is dumb because you asked me. And so I'm really honest with folks, but sorry. I wish there was a great outcome here. I don't see it being super great. It may be in the long term, though. It may be that your words and your honesty and your directness and your friendship and the way you love your friend and hold her accountable in this wacky, accountable, free world we live in now might be somebody ripping back the curtains and the shades and letting the light in that she really needs. Thank you for loving her.